The morning sunlight streamed softly through the curtains, brushing against my face with an almost cruel gentleness. I stirred, stretching and yawning, ready to greet another mundane day, or so I thought. As my eyes fluttered open, the first thing I noticed was the unfamiliar softness. My hair, impossibly long and silky, cascaded across the pillow, brushing my cheek like it had a mind of its own. My hands flew to it instinctively, tangling in the strands as confusion set in. I blinked, trying to wake myself fully, but the reflection in the mirror across the room stopped me cold. It wasn't my face staring back at me. The familiar angles of my jaw, the stubble I had been grooming for years, were gone. In their place, delicate features, smooth skin, high cheekbones, full lips, looked back with wide, startled eyes. I felt a chill race down my spine. What the hell? I whispered, my voice higher, softer, undeniably feminine. I stumbled out of bed, panic creeping into every thought. My body moved differently, lighter, more fluid. Every step on the carpet felt alien, almost practiced, as if I'd been born to walk this way but had forgotten. I tore open the drawers, searching for any clue. My old clothes, my usual pajamas, but they were gone. Instead, neatly folded inside were delicate camisoles, skirts, and blouses. My stomach twisted. I grabbed one of the blouses, holding it up with shaking hands. It was tiny, too tiny, yet somehow it fit me perfectly. Then I heard the door creak. My mom appeared in the doorway, an unsettlingly calm smile on her face. "Good morning, sweetie," she said cheerfully, as if nothing unusual had happened. "I see you've noticed the change." I froze. "Mom, what did you do?" My voice cracked. "Why do I look like this?" She tilted her head, a glimmer of pride in her eyes. "I thought it was time," she said softly, almost tenderly. "You've been curious, haven't you? Always sneaking into Emma's makeup, trying on her clothes. I just helped you explore your true self." "True self," I echoed, disbelief and fear battling in my chest. "This isn't me. I'm a guy." "Not anymore," she interrupted gently, stepping closer. "Not for now. You'll see, this is who you are meant to be. And I promise I'll guide you through it." My mind spun. I could barely comprehend what had happened overnight. Every instinct screamed to resist, to run, to lock myself in my room and wait for this to end. But as I looked down, tracing the unfamiliar curves of my body, I felt another, stranger sensation, an unbidden curiosity, a flutter of excitement mixed with the panic. Memories of my secret fascination with crossdressing, of sneaking Emma's clothes, of experimenting with eyeliner and nail polish when no one was watching, they surged forward. And for the first time, I realized my mom knew. She hadn't just found out. She had taken control. I looked at her, fear mingling with a reluctant intrigue. "Emma, she doesn't know about this," I stammered. "She doesn't need to," my mom said smoothly. "This is between us. But you must understand, this is not just about dressing up. It's about who you are deep down. And I've made sure your body matches the version of you I know is hiding inside." I sank onto the edge of the bed, my hands clutching the soft fabric of the blouse. My mind raced, bouncing between anger, disbelief, and a strange sense of vulnerability. How could someone make such a permanent change overnight? And why did I feel, despite everything, almost drawn to it? "Mom, I don't understand," I whispered, voice barely audible. "I can't just be like this." She crouched beside me, her fingers brushing against mine. "You'll understand soon. It's not about forcing you, it's about helping you realize a side of yourself you've been too scared to admit. And don't worry, Emma isn't involved yet. We'll figure everything out step by step." I looked away, trying to regain composure. My reflection in the mirror still caught my attention, soft, feminine, completely unlike the person I had been just hours ago. I felt an overwhelming mix of emotions, fear, anger, shame, and beneath it all, a forbidden curiosity that made my heart race. The clock ticked softly on the wall, the quiet of the morning pressing down on me. Outside, life continued as usual, oblivious to the chaos inside my room. And yet, my world had changed completely. For the first time, I realized I wasn't just experimenting. I wasn't sneaking into my sister's closet or trying a friend's makeup. I had woken up as someone else entirely. And my mom, she was behind it all. As she helped me stand and guided me toward the wardrobe, I felt a strange duality, resistance battling intrigue, fear fighting a thrill I couldn't yet name. This was no longer a secret hobby. This was life, as I had never known it. And whether I wanted it or not, I was going to have to navigate it. "Come on, sweetie," Mom said, holding out a soft skirt and a matching top. "Let's start with something simple. You'll see it's not so scary once you embrace it." I hesitated, taking in the soft fabric, the unfamiliar sense of perfume and lotion lingering on it. My fingers brushed the material, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. Everything about this moment was charged: fear, curiosity, and an undeniable anticipation. As I dressed for the first time as this new version of myself, I couldn't help but wonder, who was I now? And more importantly, who would I become under my mom's guidance? The first few hours after that morning felt surreal, like living inside a dream I couldn't wake from. Mom had been patient but insistent, guiding me through the delicate, unfamiliar details of being me now. As I moved through the motions of dressing, the reality of my situation pressed on me like a weight. Every skirt I pulled up, every blouse I adjusted, every strand of hair I tucked behind my ears reminded me that this wasn't temporary. My mind raced with questions. How could she have done this overnight? Was it reversible? And most pressingly, what would Emma think if she found out? The fear of judgment gnawed at me. My secret fascination with crossdressing had always been private, something I hid even from those closest to me. Now it was no longer a secret. I was exposed, not to the world, but to the one person who had orchestrated it all, my mother. Yet, alongside the fear, a strange thrill began to seep in. Feeling the softness of the fabric against my skin, the gentle sway of the skirt as I walked, the unfamiliar weight of long hair brushing my back, it awakened a part of me I hadn't admitted even to myself. My body felt lighter, somehow more expressive. The vulnerability mingled with excitement in a way that was confusing and intoxicating. Mom guided me through a careful routine: makeup, hairstyling, and wardrobe selection. I watched as my features shifted under subtle contouring, cheekbones emphasized, lips glossed, eyes made larger with mascara. Every brushstroke made me more aware of my new form. When I put on the first proper outfit, a delicate pastel dress with lace trimming, I was shocked at how natural it felt. The fabric clung to my curves in ways I hadn't expected, highlighting a femininity I didn't know I possessed. I glanced at the mirror, startled by the reflection. A girl who looked confident and elegant, yet behind her wide, uncertain eyes, the old me still lurked. Mom noticed my hesitation. "It's okay to feel strange," she said. "But see how natural you look? You're perfect at this. You've just been hiding it." I wanted to reject her words, to scream that this wasn't me. But the reflection said otherwise, and my hands, almost of their own accord, smoothed the fabric over my hips. The sensation was strangely comforting. As I moved through the apartment, practicing my walk and gestures, the fear of being caught gnawed at me. Emma wasn't due back until later, but the thought of her walking in unannounced made my heart pound. I kept peeking through the curtains, imagining her expression if she saw me like this. Panic and anticipation intertwined, heightening every movement. Mom suggested we do small exercises, sitting, standing, walking in heels to help me adjust. Each step was a lesson in vulnerability. I had never realized how much effort it took to inhabit a feminine posture convincingly. But with each motion, I noticed something unexpected, a growing confidence, a realization that I could move through the world in this form. By afternoon, the initial shock began to wear off, replaced by a strange acceptance. Mom encouraged me to explore my reflection, to experiment with expressions and gestures. I saw a person who was both me and not me, someone fragile yet alluring, nervous yet unafraid. She even took me shopping for small accessories, hairpins, bracelets, and shoes to help me complete the transformation. Each purchase, each new addition, made the situation feel more real. I was no longer just trying on a fantasy, I was living it. But with every step came the underlying tension. What would happen if Emma discovered me like this? Could I maintain this dual life? The suspense hung in the air like a storm cloud, always present, never dissipating. Trying on different dresses, each outfit elicited a mix of fear and thrill. Tight skirts made me hyper-aware of every movement. Soft, flowing dresses made me feel like I belonged in this form. Makeup practice. Every brushstroke transformed me further. Lips, eyes, and cheeks all contributed to a version of myself I had never dared to explore. Learning to walk in heels. Every misstep reminded me of the fragility of this new form, making me more cautious yet more aware of my femininity. Mirror exercises. Mom made me observe myself, practicing expressions and posture, forcing me to confront the girl in the reflection and accept her. Throughout the day, I oscillated between resisting and embracing the change. Every glance at the mirror was a test of courage. Each movement felt like a gamble. Would Emma arrive unexpectedly? Would I make a misstep and give myself away? Even minor events became suspenseful. A knock at the door, the sound of a car outside, or the hum of the refrigerator seemed amplified, threatening to reveal my secret. Mom, ever calm, reassured me while maintaining control, heightening the tension between comfort and fear. By nightfall, exhaustion mixed with exhilaration. I had navigated the day as this new self, learned to move and act in a way that was convincing, and survived the constant anxiety of potential discovery. Yet, the emotional stakes had never been higher. I was no longer simply a curious crossdresser. I was living as a girl, guided by my mom, and the uncertainty of tomorrow loomed larger than ever. The day had proven one thing: my life had irrevocably changed. And while part of me wanted to run, hide, and demand reversal, another part, frighteningly honest, wondered if this version of me was finally real. Night had fallen, and the apartment was quiet except for the hum of the heater and the occasional creak of the floorboards. I was alone, curled up on the couch, still dressed in one of the flowy pastel dresses Mom had insisted I wear. The silk fabric hugged my shoulders, and the delicate hem brushed against my thighs as I shifted nervously. My reflection in the nearby mirror caught my attention. Her eyes, wide and uncertain, seemed to stare back at me with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Just as I was starting to feel a fragile sense of comfort, a sudden knock echoed through the apartment. My heart skipped a beat. It couldn't be Emma already. She wasn't due home for another hour. I froze, imagining every worst-case scenario. The knock came again, sharper this time. Someone was at the door. I crept toward the peephole and glimpsed a familiar face, my neighbor, Jenna. My stomach sank. Why would she be here now? Panic gripped me, and my mind raced. I couldn't risk her seeing me like this. I hurriedly tugged the dress tighter around my waist, attempting to calm my trembling hands. Jenna's voice called through the door. "Hey, Alex. Are you home?" The casual tone sent a jolt of terror through me. I had to respond, but every step toward the door felt heavy, every movement making me acutely aware of the dress and the heels that now made my legs wobble. I opened the door slightly, enough to peek out, trying to appear normal. Hi, Jenna," I stammered, my voice higher than usual, almost foreign to my own ears. Jenna's eyes widened slightly, her gaze lingering on me. "Wow, you look different. Did you do something new with your hair?" I swallowed hard, trying to maintain composure. "Yeah, just trying something." The words felt hollow, a weak shield against the truth I couldn't tell. She smiled, oblivious to the panic roiling inside me.
"Cool.
"I just wanted to ask if you could grab a package for me downstairs." Her tone was innocent, but every second she lingered in my doorway felt like a test I wasn't ready to pass. I nodded, forcing a smile, feeling the dress tighten as I bent down to reach for my shoes. The sensation of the heels against my ankles made every movement feel precarious. I could barely focus on my footing, The fear of stumbling, of exposing myself, was overwhelming. As I descended the stairs, each creak of the wooden steps amplified my anxiety. I kept imagining Emma walking in at any moment, or Jenna noticing something amiss. My palms were slick with sweat, and my heart raced with every step. When I finally returned with the package, I realized my reflection in the mirrored elevator walls showed someone completely unrecognizable as the old me. The girl in the reflection moved with a tentative elegance, yet every glance revealed my internal chaos. For a brief moment, I touched my face, feeling the smooth skin under the makeup, the softness of the hair framing my cheeks. It was a moment of surrender, of acknowledgement. This transformation wasn't just skin deep, it had reshaped how I felt, how I existed. As I set the package down and prepared to return to my apartment, I heard another knock. This time it was heavier, more insistent. My stomach dropped. Emma? Could it be? I dashed back, clutching the railing, my heels clicking unevenly against the floor. Mom's voice echoed in my memory. You're perfect at this. Just stay calm. But calm felt impossible. My pulse thumped in my ears, my body trembling under the dress that now felt both protective and exposing. The doorknob rattled, and I realized it wasn't Jenna or Emma. It was someone unexpected. Mom herself, returning early from her errands. My mind raced. What would she say? Would she be disappointed, proud, or angry that I had begun to experiment without her supervision? Mom's eyes widened as she took in my appearance. You're embracing it, she said softly, a mixture of surprise and approval in her tone. My body stiffened, a mixture of relief and fear washing over me. Relief because Mom wasn't upset. Fear because her approval meant there was no turning back tonight. I struggled to sit still, my body buzzing with adrenaline. Every gesture, every tilt of my head, felt like a test, like a performance I had to maintain flawlessly. My legs ached from the heels, my fingers trembled from holding on to composure, but the thrill of being seen, fully and unguarded, ignited a strange euphoria. Mom stepped closer, placing a hand on my shoulder. You look beautiful, she whispered. The words struck me like a jolt. I had never heard anyone call me that before, never directed at me with such certainty. The reflection in the mirror, my own, stared back, both familiar and utterly new. Suddenly, the door burst open. Emma. She was standing there, her eyes wide with shock. Alex, what? Her voice faltered as she took in the scene. The dress, the makeup, the way I carried myself, it was all undeniable. Time seemed to freeze. My heart thumped painfully in my chest, a mix of fear, anticipation, and something else I couldn't name. Would she understand? Would she reject me? Or could this change everything between us in ways I hadn't imagined? The room felt impossibly small, the air thick with tension. Mom remained calm, almost guiding, while Emma's expression shifted from shock to confusion, her gaze flicking between me and my mother. My mind screamed with possibilities and consequences. The next words from Emma were crucial. The wrong response could end everything. But before she could speak, my heel caught on the edge of the rug, and I stumbled slightly. The movement, small but dramatic, made the dress slip just enough to reveal the lace trim of my undergarments. Emma gasped. Mom's hand shot out instinctively to steady me. My cheeks burned, and a new wave of panic surged. Had I just crossed a line from which there was no return? I looked at Emma, eyes wide, frozen in a moment suspended between revelation and chaos. And then everything stopped. Time seemed to stretch, each second dragging as Emma's wide eyes locked onto mine. My heart pounded so loudly it felt like it might shatter my ribs. The soft rustle of the dress, the faint shimmer of makeup under the dim light, and the heels pressing against the floor created a symphony of tension I couldn't escape. Mom's hand remained on my shoulder, grounding me, yet also a silent reminder that she had orchestrated everything. Her eyes were calm, almost proud, as if she knew this moment would change everything. Emma swallowed, her lips trembling. Alex, is this real? She finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I wanted to speak, to explain, but the words tangled in my throat. My fingers fidgeted with the hem of the dress, the silky fabric slipping slightly between my palms. Every instinct told me to run, hide, revert to the familiar, but I couldn't. Not tonight. Mom's voice broke the silence. Yes, Emma. Alex, she's embracing this. This is who she is right now. Emma's gaze flicked between us. Confusion, shock, and something softer, curiosity, maybe even admiration, flashed across her features. I don't know what to say, she murmured, taking a tentative step closer. I felt my stomach twist. Part of me dreaded rejection. Part of me craved acceptance. The vulnerability of this moment pressed down on me, heavier than any dress or heel could ever weigh. I was exposed physically, emotionally, completely. As if drawn by my tension, I glanced at the mirror across the room. My reflection stared back, an unfamiliar girl, delicate yet strong, poised yet trembling. The slip of the dress earlier had been a minor catastrophe, but now it symbolized everything I had hidden for so long. Fear, desire, and identity all mixed into one. Mom noticed my glance and smiled gently. Look at yourself, Alex. This is beautiful. Don't hide it. Emma's eyes followed mine to the mirror, and for a brief moment, it felt like she saw both of us, the old Alex and the new, transformed version. My pulse accelerated. Would she ever see me the same way again? Then, the sound of the front door opening startled all of us. I froze. Footsteps approached from the hallway. Emma? Is everything okay in here? It was my neighbor, Jenna, her cheerful voice slicing through the charged atmosphere. My heart dropped. She must have come back for something. How much had she seen before? The risk of being discovered, of the secret being exposed, made my legs tremble violently in the heels. Emma instinctively moved closer to me, shielding me slightly. Mom's hand remained on my shoulder, steadying me, but the pressure felt like both comfort and a warning. The world outside our little triangle of truth was unpredictable. I realized then that no matter what happened with Emma or Jenna, or the world outside, this night had changed me irrevocably. I couldn't just slip back into my old life. The thrill, the vulnerability, the sense of self that had been awakened, it was intoxicating and terrifying all at once. I took a shaky breath, my fingers brushing the mirror one last time before turning to face Emma. I don't know what comes next, I admitted, voice soft but steady. Emma's eyes softened, and she stepped closer, her hand hovering near mine but not touching. Maybe we figure it out together, she said cautiously, her uncertainty mirroring my own. The words brought a flicker of hope, but also dread. Could we? Should we? The night, the dress, the heels, the makeup, it all pointed toward a future I wasn't sure I was ready for. Just as I felt a sliver of calm, Mom's phone buzzed with a message. She glanced at the screen, a subtle smile playing on her lips. Looks like we might not be alone for much longer, she said cryptically. I turned toward the doorway, where shadows stretched long and uncertain, my reflection in the mirror catching my wide, anxious eyes. Emma's gaze met mine once more, filled with questions she didn't yet know how to ask. And then the screen of the phone lit up with a notification, an incoming call, unknown number, the ringtone cutting sharply through the tension. My pulse raced. The air felt impossibly heavy, the room charged with anticipation. Whoever was on the other end of that call could change everything, expose me, complicate Emma's feelings, or reveal a secret even deeper than this night. I froze, unable to move, every fiber of my body aware of the dress, the heels, and the trembling reflection in the mirror. The moment stretched, hanging between fear, thrill, and curiosity. And then the screen flashed, signaling the call was being answered.